Hello everyone, welcome to another episode of Music of the Week. Again, as always, not really much to go through. 6 albums to go through though, so I'm going to go through them as quick as I can manage. We begin with Childish Gambino and what may be the final album under the Childish Gambino moniker by Donald Glover, Bando Stone in the New World. Now, this is an interesting one because it's Donald Glover playing the rap alter ego he made up, but using it as a concept to play a character he's playing in a movie titled Bando Stone in the movie of the same name, Bando Stone in the New World. And this is only, a week after Eminem tried to do the same thing and kill the Slim Shady character. But this album's way fucking better than that, and it's so much better, I'm giving it an A. And it's not even the highest grade of the episode. Spoiler alert for later, but yeah, this is fucking brilliant. Of all the Childish Gambino albums I've heard so far, personally, it might be my favourite. I haven't heard a lot of them, but the ones I've heard I do quite like. Yeah, Donald's vocals are absolutely on point. I love the story he's trying to tell because he used it and created this whole thing as a way sort of to inspire himself to get back to making music anyway, and he started working on it after he was done with the show Atlanta, which I still need to watch because I've heard good things, because Donald Glover can just do fucking everything, and yeah, that's pretty true here as well. There's great production value on it too, really good mix on a lot of the songs, a lot of the lyrical things mostly about finding the inspiration and also love and just trying to survive in the world we're in is really good, and like that they use that as an allegory because there's a lot of like sort of skittish things, skit adjacent things, not skittish, just skit adjacent, because skittish is something else, sort of things. I've rambled a bit, sorry. In the album, that's sort of like good allegories to what's going on in the world, so yeah, really good shit. Great performance from him as well, really good work from the guest spots that we get, solid production. It can maybe overdo it a little bit, and some of the songs, especially near the back end of the album, can stretch a little bit, but it's Donald Glover and just having a fucking good time, and this is really fucking good album, so yeah, pretty big recommend from me. And I also like the usage of sort of unusual styles for him. Like, there's not just traditional hip-hop, there's more sort of like a 50s/60s sort of vibe, because that's the era that Bando Stone is supposed to be from, and I like how they bring that into the album as well. It's a good mix of sounds, and they're put together quite well. Next we have Denzel Curry with his newest mixtape, King of the Mischievous South Volume 2. Now, I know what you're thinking, it's a mixtape, not an album. And the difference between them is that an album is usually more conceptualized, and a mixtape is just a collection of songs, but it's long enough to be an album, innit? So I fucking count mixtapes as albums. I don't know about you, they're just... They don't have to tell a story. I've listened to a lot of albums that don't try and tell stories. Giving this the lowest grade of the episode, though, which is a B-. It's a shame because I liked Denzel's last album, About My Eyes See Your Future, quite a lot. It didn't make my top 30 of 2022, which I did feel bad about. But it was one of my favourite rap albums of that year, and I'm not going to say this is my favourite rap album of this year, although I do think it's a lot better than people are giving it credit for. I think my main issue with it is the fact that it's just not as versatile and doesn't go to as many interesting places as Melt My Eyes does. In fact, this might be Denzel's most stereotypically sort of rap album, I guess you could call it, and there's a guest spot on every goddamn song in this thing. And there's also a lot of songs and not a lot of time given to them, so the structuring is a little bit odd, but at the same time, some of the lyrics are still pretty decent, and the production's nice, a bit scratchy in places, but still really nicely handled, and Denzel is still a really good performer, and he has really good chemistry with a lot of the guest spots on this album. And one of those is probably my favourite song in the album, which features 2 Chainz and someone else whose name I can't remember, but 2 Chainz is on it. I normally don't like 2 Chainz, but he's actually really good in the song that he's on for this. Yeah, really well produced, a little bit muddy-ish on pacing, my finger bashed off my table there, and I do think that the beats are maybe a tad generic, I don't know. I didn't mind the writing either. It mostly does enough good stuff to keep it from being any lower. And again, it's a Denzel Curry album. I just hope people say something more interesting for his next one. Next is Glass Animals with their new album, I Love You So Fucking Much, and I am not censoring it because the band have censored the F word there. Fucking, that F word. That's the good one, we can say that one. Fudge. Gotcha. And yeah, I'm giving this a B. I thought this was some pretty solid indie pop, artsy stuff. I will say not as much of it stuck with me as the last album did, but then again, I haven't really spun that one back. I'm not really likely to spin this one back either. I do think it does sort of, it middles a bit and just sort of stays in one place for the most part, But it's got this charm to it that I can't deny. The production's actually quite nice as well. I like how it's done. I do think the lyrics they have interesting enough themes about, I think there's stuff about love. There's also a really good theme of vulnerability, and I think the band deliver on that as well. But my main issue with the album is admittedly the pacing. I know I complain about that a lot with these episodes, but yeah, it does a really weird thing where it sets up these really promising things and just doesn't deliver on those things, and it's a bit weird. I think it could have handled that a lot better, but overall I think production's really nice, pretty nice. Really good performances, pretty solid all around, and again, this is an album I think way too many people are shitting on. I enjoyed it though, mostly harmless. Could have used a bit more bite at times, but again, didn't hate it. Next is Highly Suspect and their new album As Above, So Below. This is a sort of blues, hard, alt-rocky sort of thing. From the similar vein of like Royal Blood, I guess you could say, and Palais Royale. I don't know, do they really fit that? I don't really listen to them or Royal Blood, but I do listen to Highly Suspect. I'm giving this album a B+. I thought this was some really good stuff. I will admit, my favourite thing about it's probably always been my favourite thing about the band, which is the guitar work. I love how layered it feels. I love the overall riff work that they do, and they land into more risks on this album in terms of the pacing as well, and for the most part that does pay off. I do like that they try and take those risks. It does drag the album out a little bit as a result, but for the most part, I don't know, for me it worked. And the band is still really good at this whole band thing. Johnny Stevens is still a really good singer with a ton of charisma. I think my primary issue is the lyrics, because I couldn't really find anything on themes, and even listening to it, it's really hard to like gauge what those themes are. Also, yeah, by the way, that is my fan on because it's fucking warm still in the UK. I forgot to mention that earlier in the video, but now you know. Yeah, really good stuff all around from the band though. Solid pacing, in fact, really good pacing, and the riff work really does carry it. Yeah, I do think the production does kind of overstep a little bit. It makes things a bit too fuzzy at times, but again, nothing I really hate, and nothing that's a major deal breaker for me. So, another solid album by a really solid band, I would say. Next is Los Campesinos with All Hell. It is worth noting that Los Campesinos are Welsh. I just thought I'd point that out. And this is my first album by them, but this is apparently quite an acclaimed indie band from Wales, and I can fucking see why this gets the only A+ grade of the episode. Really enjoyed this one. It did give me some vibes of a more optimistic version of Brave Faces Everyone, I guess you could say. I liked the riffs, first of all. I liked the chemistry between the lead singer and his wife. They have the same surname, but I can't remember their actual first names. I feel really bad for that. The band's guitarist and one of the band members did produce the album as well, Tom Bromley, I think his name is. He did a really good job. Yeah, solid production, really good riffs, and really clever writing. I swear, like, there's been a lot of genres we've had this year that have just had a clever subversive style of writing, like Monster Flame with their new album, covered that with metalcore, you know. Alkaline Trio did it with their new album, but then again, Alkaline Trio have always been really good with it. Pissed Jeans did it with, like, sludgy hardcore punk, and now we got Los Campesinos doing it with indie rock. Yeah, really love the riff work. I do wish there were more solos, but I'll take what I can get. The band just have so much charm and personality and this like sort of irreverent vibe, which I think really carries the album. I like the lyrics, sort of like blending political things with personal stuff, you know, and sort of with that sort of vibe of like, yeah, the world's kind of fucked, but let's try and enjoy ourselves while we're still around. And I think the production's quite nice as well. It's got a really good mix to it. I think if I have any issues, maybe the riffs can, like, at the smallest points they can blow, right? And sometimes the pacing, I don't know, it's got like a couple of instrumental tracks that actually do lead well into a future song, which I like because a lot of albums this year that have tried to do that haven't fucking done it right. But still, it can pad out the album a bit unnecessarily and make it feel longer than it has to be. Like, again, tiny nitpicks, but I feel like with this new pros and cons system I'm doing with my Discord reviews, I do have to point these things out. But, fuck it, you know, just ignore me, because this album's still really good, really great, and you should listen to it. And finally, we have Orange Goblin with their newest album, Science Not Fiction. Now, this is a sort of more traditional heavy metal band with some stonery elements, and from this album I could pick up some thrash vibes too. This band has been around for almost 3 decades, and it's worth noting that unlike most UK metal bands that have formed in the mid-90s, they formed in 1995 specifically, this band has kept most of its original lineup. I think of its like 5 original members, it's kept 3 of them. and it's only got 4 now, and there's a new guitarist on this one. Giving this a B+. I don't know why I'm like rambling so much about it. Really good heavy metal. I like the riff work more than anything. The guitar work on this album is fucking exceptional. Love the solos, love the riffs, love the drumming. The drumming's really good, but it's mostly the guitar work that carries this. Really good vocals too. Really good screaming for the most part. Really good like scream singing, I guess you could say. The lyrical theme did baffle me slightly because it is supposed to be like an examination of the self, using things like religion and spirituality and like science and the contrast between them to analyze the human condition. And then I read the lyrics, and even though the band says those are the themes, it doesn't read like that to me. I just sort of got like a slight political vibe to it, so felt lied to, first of all. I do think the pacing is also a bit too full blast at times. Like, I do appreciate an album that doesn't have that sense of restraint, but I appreciate an album more if it does have it, and this album doesn't. It just goes and goes and goes, and a couple of songs are quite long. In fact, most of the songs are quite long. But it's not something I'm going to hold against it, and the band do a lot of really good work anyways to skirt around that. The guitar work is fantastic, the production's really, really nice too. And yeah, all in all, just really solid if you just like that style of metal. I can recommend it. It's got a sort of good throwback vibe, which I appreciate. So yeah, if you're into that, give it a go. And next is the unofficial ranking system, if you can call it that. So I'll go with least favourite being Denzel Curry's album, King of the Mischievous Scythe Volume 2. Then Glass Animals with I Love You So Fucking Much. Then it is difficult between these next two, but I'll go with Highly Suspect with As Above So Below. Then Orange Goblin with Science Not Fiction. Then I'll go with Childish Gambino with Band of Stone in the New World. And then I'll go with Los Campesinos with All Hell as my favourite album of the past week. But as always, go listen to all these yourself and formulate your own opinions, because that's what makes this shit interesting. Favourite album cover probably goes to Orange Goblin's album, though. I do just like how the band's name and title works in with the album. I just sort of like the artwork in general. It just looks really nice. I like it. You can see the perspective of a city through like the side of someone's face. It's a really good bit of outlining, which I quite like. And favourite song goes to 0898 Heartache from Los Campesinos' album All Hell. And again, it's another case of that song really should have been the last one, but there's another one after it, which is also a good song, but like it really should have ended with that one. That's happened quite a bit this year, to be honest. But again, go and listen to all of these yourself. And that'll about do it. I will see you all tomorrow night for the return show of PPW vs AVW. And probably that reaction to FIFA 333 I was going to do last week. So, I'll see you tomorrow for those. As always, thank you for watching. You're awesome. Bye-bye.